Today in this video lecture, I am going to discuss with you an important question related to Australian novel, and this question is: Australian women novelists of the 19th century created through their writing a space for themselves in the patriarchal world of colonial Australia. Comment on this particular statement. So 19th century Australia was patriarchal, imperial and male dominated society where women were largely confined to domestic roles and denied authority in public, intellectual, and political spaces. Against this backdrop, Australian women novelists used writing as a powerful means to carve out cultural, moral, and imaginative space for themselves through fiction, travel writing, nature writing, and autobiographical narratives. They negotiated gender constraints, articulated female experience, and subtly critiqued colonial structures. Again, authors such as Louisa N. Meredith, Caroline Louisa Waring Atkinson, Ada Cambridge, J.C. Catherine Gower, who is also called as Thasma, and Rosa Campbell Praed, did not openly rebel against patriarchy. Instead, they worked within accepted literary forms to assert women's voices and perspectives, thereby reshaping colonial discourse from within. So, 19th century Australia was a male dominated colonial society where women were expected to remain within the home and had little public voice. Writing became an important way for women to express themselves and participate in public life. Australian women novelists used literature to describe their experiences, struggles, and observations of colonial life. Through novels, travel accounts, and poetry, they created a space for themselves in a patriarchal world without directly challenging social norms. So, in this video lecture, I am going to talk about these particular women novelists and their contribution in Australian literature. So, writing offered women a socially permissible outlet through which they could enter public discourse without overtly challenging Victorian ideals of femininity. The novel, travel narrative, and domestic romance became strategic genres where women could speak authoritatively about settlement life, marriage, morality, and nature by documenting everyday colonial realities ignored by male writers. These women transformed private female experiences into public knowledge. These texts created an intellectual space where women were not merely settlers, wives, or daughters, but observers, interpreters, and critics of colonial life. So here we see that writing for women became a safe space for women in colonial Australia. Writing was one of the few socially acceptable ways to speak publicly. By writing about domestic life, nature, marriage, and settlement experiences, women could share their views while still appearing respectable. So literature allowed them to move beyond silence and make their presence felt in society. Now, here, Louisa Ann Meredith exemplifies how writing enabled women to claim authority in a male dominated colonial world. Her travel books, particularly Notes and Sketches of New South Wales, published in the year 1844, and My Home in Tasmania, published in the year 1852, position her as an informed commentator on colonial society. She is criticized for her frankness. Meredith refused to romanticize settler life by presenting simple sketches from nature. She asserted that women's observational and domestic knowledge was valuable, truthful, and intellectually legitimate. This move subtly challenged the masculine monopoly on colonial documentation. So, here we see a woman's voice in colonial life. Louisa N. Meredith used travel writing and nature writing to express a woman's perspective on colonial Australia. Her book Notes and Sketches of New South Wales gave an honest picture of settler life, even though it was criticized for being negative. So, through this work, Meredith claimed Authority as a woman observer in a male controlled colonial society. Meredith's illustrations alongside her prose further strengthened her creative autonomy. In Some of My Bush Friends in Tasmania came in the year 1860. Her combination of scientific curiosity, aesthetic sensitivity, and personal reflection redefined nature writing as a female intellectual pursuit. At a time when scientific and artistic authority was largely male, Meredith's illustrated texts allowed her to occupy multiple roles as that of artist, naturalist, and writer, thereby expanding the scope of women's participation in colonial culture. So Meredith believed women's everyday observations were valuable. In My Home in Tasmania, she wrote about many ordinary colonial life and the Australian environment. By doing so, she showed that women could contribute important knowledge about the colony, not just men. And also Meredith's books on Australian nature, such as Some of My Bush Friends in Tasmania, combined writing with her own illustrations. So, this allowed her to present herself as an artist, writer, and natural observer. Through nature writing, she created a respected space for women in scientific and artistic fields. Even Meredith's fiction engages in resistance. Works like Phoebe's Mother and Nellie or Seeking Goodly Pearls explore family, morality, and female endurance within restrictive social frameworks while conforming outwardly to Victorian ideals. These novels foreground women's emotional labor and moral strength, suggesting that domestic spaces were not sites of passivity but of quiet power and resilience. So here we see that in her novels, Meredith focused on family life and moral values, though these works followed traditional ideas, but they highlighted women's strength and endurance within the home. This showed that domestic life was not weak or unimportant but central to colonial society. Now here, Caroline Louisa Waring Atkinson, as the first Australian-born woman novelist, Atkinson's significance lies in her self-identification as an Australian woman. In Gertrude the Emigrant Girl, she uses the domestic novel to expose the dangers and hardships faced by women settlers. By warning women in England about colonial realities, Atkinson disrupts imperial propaganda and asserts a distinctly female colonial perspective. Her writing thus creates space for women as both national subjects and critical observers of settlement ideology. So here we see that this woman, Atkinson novel, warned English women about the hardships of settling in Australia. She showed that Australian life was very different from English life. This criticism helped create a space for women to speak honestly about colonial realities rather than idealized images. So, Atkinson's critique of colonial mimicry. Australia's attempt to replicate English social norms undermines patriarchal and imperial authority. Her emphasis on the uniqueness of Australian landscape, domestic challenges, gender dangers asserts that women's experiences are central to national identity. Through the us them discourse, Atkinson claims a literary and cultural space that resists homogenization under British norms. So she, in a way, warned other people of women of other particular country that living in Australia is very much. If you live in Australia, then you have to endure too many hardships there. Ada Cambridge works illustrates how women created space by negotiating rather than rejecting patriarchal norms. As a clergyman's wife, Cambridge operated under intense moral scrutiny. For her novels such as A Marked Man and The Three Miss Kings appear conventional, yet they subtly question marriage, sexual inequality, and women's emotional repression. Writing allowed Cambridge to articulate doubts and anxieties that could not be publicly expressed in her social role. So, Ada Cambridge wrote within traditional romantic and domestic plots. Her novels quietly questioned marriage, morality, and women's happiness. Writing allowed her to express ideas that she could not openly discuss as a clergyman's wife. Cambridge poetry, especially In the Hand in the Dark, came in the year 1913, reveals a deeper resistance to patriarchal constraints. Her exploration of religious doubt, sexual limitation, and social injustice demonstrates how women use literature to explore forbidden emotional and intellectual territories. Even when censored or suppressed, her poetic voice carved out a private yet enduring space of autonomy. So, Cambridge poetry expressed deep emotional and religious doubts. In her poems, she spoke about women's limitations and social inequality. Poetry gave her freedom to express thoughts that society did not allow women to speak openly. Here, Jessie Catherine Couvreur, who is also called as Tasma, writing against marital oppression. Tasma's life and work represent one of the most explicit challenges to patriarchy among 19th century Australian women writers. Her decision to initiate divorce, almost unthinkable at the time, finds reflection in her novels, which repeatedly depict intelligent women trapped in oppressive marriages. Writing became her means of survival, protest, and self definition in a society that defined women's legal and emotional autonomy. So, here we see that Tasma's life and writing strongly challenge patriarchal marriage. Her novels show intelligent women suffering under bad marriages. Writing helped her express personal pain and protest against unfair social rules. Tasma's fiction as social exposure. In novels like Uncle Piper of Piper's Hill, came in the year 1889, Tasma dismantles middle class complacency and moral hypocrisy. Her realistic portrayal of Australian society exposes gender inequality, intellectual stagnation, and cultural pretensions. The fact that the novel was initially assumed to be written by a man underscores how effectively Tasma occupied a literary space denied to women, challenging assumptions about authorship and authority. So, in Uncle Piper of Piper's Hill, Tasma exposed the hypocrisy of Australian middle class life. The novel was so powerful that readers first believed it was written by a man. This proved that women could write with authority equal to male writers. So here I am talking about another Australian writer whose name is Rosa Campbell Praed, internationalizing the Australian woman's voice. Rosa Campbell Praed created space for Australian women writers on an international platform. Her novels, particularly An Australian Heroine, which came in the year 1880, and The Romance of a Station, which came in the year 1889, transformed female isolation into narrative power by writing about station life, imperial politics, and women's psychological struggles. Praed asserted that women's colonial experiences were worthy of global literary attention. So, Rosa Campbell Praed was the first Australian woman novelist to gain international fame. Her novels showed women's isolation and struggles in colonial station life. Writing gave her a strong voice beyond Australia. Praed's political and psychological interventions, influenced by imperial politics and spiritual inquiry, Praed's novel go beyond domestic concerns. Her heroines questioned authority, morality, and gender expectations. Though much of her work was written in England, it retained its Australian sensibility, ensuring that women's colonial experiences were not erased or marginalized within imperial literature. So here we see that Prade's novel deal with politics, power, and women's emotional conflicts. Her female character questioned authority and social expectations. Through fiction, she created space for women's political and personal experiences. Shared strategies working within and against patriarchy. Despite differences in genre and style, these women shared common strategies. They used socially acceptable literary forms, emphasized moral authority, and grounded their narratives in lived experience. Rather than rejecting patriarchy outright, they subtly reshaped it by insisting on women's intellectual and credibility, emotional depth, and cultural significance. Writing became both refugee and resistance. So here we see that women writers differed in their writing styles and literary genres. They adopted similar strategies to deal with a male dominated patriarchal society. Instead of openly rebelling against patriarchy, they worked within accepted social boundaries. They used respectable literary forms such as novels or moral narratives which society considered appropriate for women. By drawing on their personal experiences, emotions, and moral insight, they quietly challenged male authority. Through this approach, they asserted women's intelligence, emotional complexity, and cultural importance. Writing served as a dual purpose for them. It was a safe personal space, um, which we also refer to as refugee, and also a subtle form of resistance against gender inequality. Then, writing as cultural survival and self making. Australian women novelists of the 19th century undeniably created a space for themselves through writing in a patriarchal colonial society. Their works transformed domestic space experience into cultural authority, challenged imperial myths, and articulated female subjectivity within restrictive frameworks. Through persistence, creativity, and strategic conformity, these writers ensured that women were not silent witnesses but active participants in shaping Australia's literary and cultural identity. Writing for them was not merely artistic expression, it was an act of survival, self making, and quiet revolution. So here we see that 19th century Australian women novelists, they used to write, these women used to create a place for themselves in a patriarchal colonial society that often marginalized them via writing, and by transforming everyday domestic life into serious literary material, they claimed cultural authority. Their works question colonial and imperial ideals while expressing women's inner lives and identities, even with social restrictions. So, through perseverance and creative adaptation rather than open confrontation, these writers ensured that women had an active voice in shaping Australia's literary and cultural history. Writing became more than art, it was a means of survival, self identity, and a quiet but powerful form of revolution for these 19th century women novelists. Then, with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.